Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Lehigh Valley. We are delighted you've joined us. We have people here in our sanctuary, which we're always happy about. And there's plenty of room for you to come and join us too. We keep growing, so we are blessed. Yeah, and as we say here, the door is open. So come as you can. And I'm going to ask you to stand, please, and join me as we sing an opening song, This Door is Open for You. No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you've come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Give love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. And come on in, come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist, or Jew, this door is open to you. If there's some kind of trouble or pain you're going through, know that you are not alone and someone cares for you. As an individualization of divine point of view, this door is open to you. Oh, come on in, come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist, or Jew, this door is open. This door is open. I said this door is open to you.
Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Lehigh Valley. My name is Ginny Stangline, and I'm delighted to be assisting Charley Thweatt and Anthony Young this morning. Our statements of affirmation. Our affirmative statements express our Unity denominational statement of belief, as well as the vision and mission of Unity of Lehigh Valley. I invite you to join me as we speak the statements aloud. Together we affirm, there is only one presence, one power, one activity in my life and in the universe, God the good omnipotence. We co-create an awakened world of peace, harmony, and abundance. United in love, we provide a positive environment for all people to discover and express their spiritual nature. So some announcements today. During the month of August, we focus on the power of will, represented by the disciple Matthew and the color silver. Aligning our own power of will with the will of God can help us embrace each of the 12 unity powers and choose to produce good in our lives. Our affirmation reads, I use my power of will to choose, to commit, and to be willing. Amen. So we're sending happy birthday wishes to all of you with an August birthday. Have a great month. Please mark your calendars to come to the sanctuary on August 22nd. We have a ministerial candidate, Reverend Bob, coming in to do a service that day. There are some YouTube links with some of his sermons in our weekly email that went out on Wednesday. You can take a look at that. His photo is there and a bio on him. And we're very excited that he's coming here to talk with us, and hopefully we'll see if he is right for us. As we continue to seek our new permanent senior minister, let's join together to affirm our right and perfect minister will appear to us easily. Filled with the spirit of divine love and wisdom, we are guided and directed in our thoughts, our words, and our actions as we move towards the employment of the right minister for the highest good of this ministry. And so it is. Thank you, God. We'll now sing a congregational song, Greater Good of All.
Yes. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you. So join with me as we sing The Greater Good of All. Here we go. I am here for the greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all. I am here for the greater good of all, greater good of all. You are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all. You are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all. We are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all. We are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all. And now Josiah will read our daily word.
Good morning, everybody. Daily Word for August 1st, 2021, Radiance. The Christ presence within is in my radiant source of good. On a clear day, when a stray cloud passes across the sun, I notice a suddenly diminished light. Then, looking up, I see brilliant rays of sunshine surrounding the cloud. Instead of hiding the sun, the cloud helps me see and appreciate the sun's radiance. As the sun lights the earth and is the source of its energy, the Christ, the divine presence within me, is my light and the source of everything that I need in order to live brilliantly and joyfully. When, like a passing cloud, an obstacle or challenge along my path may seem to dim my Christ light, I respond by looking up, by raising my point of view. I am reassured and strengthened, knowing that the divine radiance is shining as brightly as ever. No cloud can dim the divine light in me. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. John 1:5.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to be here with you again. And this song is called When You Sing Your Song. I hope it inspires something deep in your soul to remind you why you're truly here. When you sing your song, there's a power in the wind that will sail you home to the peace you know within. When you sing your song, all of nature will join in to bless you in your mission here on earth, to help you in your service here on earth. When you sing your song, you can feel the rising tide lifting all things up, and there's nowhere left to hide. When you sing your song, you become alive inside to bless you in your mission here that will sail you home to the peace you know within. When you sing your song, all of nature will join in to bless you in your mission here on earth, to help you in your service here on earth. La da 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 da.
All right. And now let us pray. In this moment of centering prayer, we invite and allow the larger unseen presence of Spirit, the authentic self, to be more fully present in our conscious awareness. And as we allow that expression, the awareness of our authentic self, we affirm, peace is my center. I am calm. I am serene. My body is a vessel of life and energy. The rich blessing of divine abundance flows to me and through me. I am prosperous. I bless the world's thoughts of unity and harmony. I shine the light of divine wisdom from within to guide my every step. Behold, I am ever with you, as you, and in you. And so it is, and so let it be. Amen.
Amen. In the beginning, there was God, and God is all there was. Then we divided up, yet we're still one because we go together, we go together, we go together as one. Will you sing that chorus with me? We go together, we go together, we go together as one. So much love we have all known. This journey through all time, though someone still might feel alone, no one's left behind. We go together, join me. We go together, we go together, we go together as one. We go together, we go together, we go together as one. As I reach into all being, you are all a part of me. We can't together as one. We go together. We go together. We go together as one. We go together. And that's true. We do go together. Well, it's great to be back in your sanctuary, so to speak, and to be with all of you. And good luck on your new minister search. I wish you all the best. I know the perfect and right person will show up and fit right into your Unity family there. My talk this morning is called Living in Connection. Are you on God's Wi-Fi? And I like the energy of that. Are you on God's Wi-Fi? And maybe that's where real connection happens, when we tune into that level of consciousness. And I do want to mention the song I just sang, We Go Together. And I don't know if you caught all the lyrics. It starts out, in the beginning there was God, and God is all there was. And then we divide it up. And, we in our society, we use myths to try and explain the unexplainable, right? If it's too big to possibly comprehend, maybe we use a myth to just fit it into our little human minds. Like, how can we put the infinite into some kind of story that speaks a little bit to what might be true on a vast level? And for me, this is the myth that I came up with, and maybe you've thought of it too, or maybe it's a fit for you, that how do we explain this whole thing of who we are and how we're joined? So the one I came up with was, in the beginning there was God, and God is all there was, and God got a little bit lonely and wanted someone to play with, and so divided up into all these parts, and here we are. And that's why when we really stop and look, we can really see that God essence in each other. So I don't know what you think about that myth, but it works for me, and it was a good inspiration for that song. Well, in my talk this morning, I want to look at connection and how we are connected, just as the song said, and how to look at how to be on that wavelength, that Wi-Fi with God in three different areas. And the first I'm going to look at is how we stay connected in that connection with ourselves. So I came up with little kind of cute names for each of these sections. So the connection with self is, we're going to call that the inner net. The internet. How do I stay connected with me on the inner? So, part of how I think that happens, and I actually referred to that in the song, When You Sing Your Song, is when we are willing to really live the life we came to live. Are we just kind of following patterns we were taught, rather than just tuning into, well, what's my guidance? What's my inner nudging, my inner urging of what I want to do with my life? And if you listen to the words in that first song, When You Sing Your Song, it speaks about how when we step out, that the universe will meet us and will be there to support. It says, when you sing your song, and of course that's the metaphor for when you give the gift you were given to give. When you sing your song, there's a power in the wind that will sail you home to the peace you know within. When you sing your song, all of nature will join in to bless you in your mission here on earth, to help you in your service here on earth. And I think that's true. Other people have said that. There was it Goethe who had the quote, when you make a commitment, providence moves too. When you totally commit, then the universe will show up. And I think that's what that inner net, those inner urgings are asking us to do. And that happened in my life. Some of you have told this story before. I loved music as a kid, but when it came time to go to college, I picked a useful and practical degree. Ended up getting a 5-year degree in architecture, a professional degree, worked in architectural firms for about 3 years. And, but it wasn't me. It was safe. I had my regular paycheck, my benefits package, and it wasn't me. And so my inner net was urging me, that inner self, the inner connection to my soul and to the God self, was calling me to do music. That was my love. And my spiritual journey was activating at that time, and the songs I was singing were about that. And I found my way to a Unity church and was kind of ushered on my path. Opportunities showed up, and I kept taking leaps into my true soul's journey, my true soul's joy. And that's why I'm here today, 40 years later, after I walked into a Unity church, still continuing, and it keeps expanding, which is a beautiful thing. That it began as just singing solos on Sunday, and it's expanded to concerts and touring and creating workshops and even leading people on tours of Italy where I take my guitar and we are in spiritual community and enjoying seeing the world. Now, another aspect of this I want to look at is, and sometimes this can be a scary word, the word integrity. And when I hear integrity, I think of my parents telling me, always be honest, always tell the truth, be honest with the people that you're around. But I think there's another level, which is not about others, but about ourselves. Are we being honest with ourselves? That's a level of, am I being in integrity with my soul's purpose, with why I came here? And one way to really tune into that honesty, here's a question to ask. What you're doing in your life for your life's work, is it bringing you joy? And what is the honest answer to that question? Is what you're doing bringing you joy? Well, that might be a hard thing to look at. Are you loving your life's work? And if you are, then you're probably feeling empowered in your life. And if you're not, then you're probably not. You're probably not feeling empowered. So I know there's a song I wrote years ago, Take Your Power Back. It's about coming back to the center of who we are and working from there. So are you, and if you're not feeling that joy, are you ready to take your power back and find a way to be more in line with what your soul's gifts are, what it is you came to express? So are you really connecting to your inner net? And that takes courage, right? It takes courage to be honest, to be willing to change directions like I did. That was a big leap out of my architecture cubicle on the 4th floor of a high-rise building, working away. But it was safe, but it took courage to make that leap into what felt like me, and to change directions toward my joy. Now, something I didn't mention earlier, at the part of my talk, I'm going to be having dueling quotes between the Buddha and Mark Twain. So I have a quote from each of them that I want to use to emphasize this section. So I just mentioned it takes courage to be that honest and to tune in to what's real, what's right for me in my life, from my inner net urgings. Now, Mark Twain said, with courage, you dare to take risks, to have the strength to be compassionate and the wisdom to be humble. Courage is the foundation of integrity. Now, isn't that interesting? We're looking at integrity and courage. And Mark Twain says courage is the foundation of integrity. It takes courage to leap into really being in our own integrity. So you have the courage to dare to take risks, to have the strength to be compassionate, and the wisdom to be humble. That's all from courage, okay? Now the Buddha, I'll come to a Buddha quote in a minute. And another part of me for the inner net is meditation. And I've meditated, I've had periods where I've meditated daily for 20 to 30 minutes, and I've strayed away, and I've come back, I've strayed away. And recently I've come back to it again, and for me, of course, that's another way to connect with ourselves, that inner net, that inner beingness of who we are. And when we do that, often what I feel like that we're learning in our lives, through meditation or other means, there's kind of a lot of chaos in the world, isn't there? it's a little bit of a nutty time, and it always is. Seems like it's always another level of chaos. And so what is our job? It's to navigate that chaos. There's going to be chaos. There's going to be challenges. There will always be things. But how can I navigate that from a place of peace? How can I be a gift in any situation and bring peace to it? And for me, meditation is an exercise in that, because even with our eyes closed, and we're sitting, chaos comes by, right? Our thoughts come by. They're there to, distract us. And for me, the game is, can I keep staying in my center? And you've probably heard this before. It's like you're sitting on the edge of a stream and watching the water go by and watching the leaves on the surface floating by. So let's say those are your thoughts. But can you remember who you are on the shore? That still place that's not these passing thoughts. So yeah, watch the leaf go by, but then come back to center. Well, there's another distraction. There's more chaos in my life. Come back to center. So meditation is a great practice for our daily lives when we watch those chaotic leaves going by in the stream. And we come back to that inner net, that inner connection to God, that God's Wi-Fi on the inner. So I want to read a quote here I have. So this is from, I'll bring one other thing up. From A Course in Miracles, there's a beautiful part in the introduction where it says, "Nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God." So you might want to think of those leaves, those thoughts. That's not the real you. It's just thoughts going by. You are not your thoughts. There's a good mantra. I am not my thoughts. I'm that graceful peace at the center of these thoughts going by. So you can think of those leaves going by as the unreal, but who you are is the real, the eternal, that changeless spirit self. Herein lies the peace of God. That chaos is not me. Okay? Okay. So the Buddha was asked, what have you gained from meditation? And I love what he replied. He said, nothing. Isn't that great? What have you gained from meditation? Nothing. However, let me tell you what I have lost. Anxiety, anger, depression, insecurity, and fear of old age and death. Isn't that great? The Buddha gained nothing. If he gained them, he cleared away, like Course in Miracles says, removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. So when we can clear away those leaves floating by, those thoughts, and not attached to them, just watch them go by, clear away the blocks to the awareness of who we are, that love's presence that's always here. Okay, so that was our inner net, so connection to self. Let's look at how we connect on God's Wi-Fi to others, the people around us. And I want to call that our intranet, that intra-connection that we have with others. And again, recall, in the beginning there was God, and God is all there was. Then God divided up into all these souls, which are us. So if you want to go with that metaphor and that myth, this is a great way to also see that. We are connected, that intranet between all of us. We are still that one. And that unity, which is, I think, why we call our church unity. So one way that I deeply experienced this profoundly was a little exercise I did years ago, which sounds scary, and it sounded scary to me, but I was asked in a workshop I attended to sit across from someone. It was a stranger, and here was the directions. Look in this person's eyes for 20 minutes in silence, no talking, no looking away, just sit and look in silence for 20 minutes. And that scared the bejesus out of me, but I did it anyway because I trusted the people leading it, and mostly it was chaos again, watching the thoughts go by, and every now and then a moment of, oh, this is my soul seeing his soul, and then more chaos and chatter. But I ended up doing that exercise many times, beyond that one workshop. And the more I did it, the more the thoughts, I didn't focus on the thoughts as much as the soul connection, and began to have very, very deep experiences of, oh, we really are one. And that was life-changing. That opened that door to we really are connected. It really is true. There really is unity, between us. And the more I could clear my thoughts, remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, then I could be in that intranet, that way that we are connected in that way. I had a fun experience with this. A few years ago, I was in Kona, Hawaii, on the Big Island, and I went to the local health food store. And Heidi and I were there. We were about to check out, and I noticed a sign at the cash register that said the wisdom discount available to people over 55. And so I thought, oh, I can get a wisdom discount. So I walked up, and there's a young guy. He looked like he's maybe 24, long hair, a beard, and just what you'd expect at a health food store in Kona. And I said, hey, I'd like to get the wisdom discount. And he said, well, hi, my name is Ben, and well, great, sure. But first, would you share some wisdom with me? I went, oh, that's kind of fun. And so my first thought that came was, well, I said, well, one of the most powerful things that's happened in my life is that profound sense of connection when I really take the time to look in someone's eyes. And he loved it. He loved it. And then he paused and just looked in my eyes. And it was a beautiful connection. It was a great moment. And I got my wisdom discount. So just the willingness to be that out in public. It's easy to be inside the doors of unity, right? But are we willing to play in that intranet that we have with everyone? It's not just the people in unity. It applies to everyone. And can we live that? I'm going to refer to another song I wrote. And I love how wisdom comes to me, not necessarily from me, but to me through songwriting. And there's a song I wrote that it talks about making each moment precious. And one of the verses says, take your time when you're being with people. What's another minute to you? We keep finding ourselves in each other. Make this time precious in all that you do. And that's kind of what happened there with Ben at the health food store in Kona. And when I hear those lyrics, I think of myself out running errands somewhere, and maybe I've got 10 errands I want to be done with by noon, and I'm only on errand number 4, and I'm at the grocery store and run into a friend that I haven't seen in a year, and they really want to stop and talk, and I'm thinking I got 6 more errands to do, but then another part of me says, no, wait, stop. Did you come to Earth to run errands? Is that your soul's purpose? No, we came to Earth to be with each other. This is where the learning is. It's not about running errands. You weren't a soul up in heaven saying, I can't wait to get to Earth to run errands. No, so let's take that time to be in that intranet, that interconnection that we all are. It just happens another way it happens if we'll stop and just listen. That's one of the greatest communication techniques I've ever learned, is to stop talking. Have you ever thought of that? How powerful it can be to stop talking and just listen, to let their story, bubble up and let it come forth and just be there as a sounding board. When someone's speaking, sometimes there's a pause, and we don't always have to interject our thoughts. We can just let there be silence while that next thing is coming up. That can be very important because they're finding truth in the telling of their story. And there's discovery that can happen. I've led workshops where one partner is supposed to speak for 5 minutes while the other just listens, and then they switch places, who speaks and who listens. And it's very powerful to be in the position where your only responsibility is to listen, which it gives you freedom because you're not busy constructing your next reply. There's nothing you have to say, so you can actually take in what's being said. Isn't that powerful? Sometimes we feel like we have to show how smart we are. I'm listening, and I'm going to say something that proves I'm listening. What if you're off the hook and you can just take it in and be there and be present from a loving space? I was leading a workshop in San Diego once, and there was a married couple who'd been married for many years, And after they did this exercise, the husband, in his sharing, he jumped up and said, "Oh my God, I just experienced a miracle. For the first time in our marriage, I got to speak uninterrupted for 5 minutes." And it was a joyous moment. It was a revelation. And it's powerful. It's powerful. So I want to bring a Mark Twain quote, and that really applies. Mark Twain said, "Wisdom is the reward you get for a lifetime of listening when you would rather have talked." Isn't that great? It totally applies to that San Diego couple. I'll say it again. Wisdom is the reward you get for a lifetime of listening when you would rather have talked. And sometimes our talking is reflexive and maybe there's not even that much thought put into it. So I invite you to enjoy connection with others by just holding space and listening and being willing to really receive, because you have full 100% availability to listen versus constructing your next reply. The Buddha has a quote regarding connection with others. And this is kind of about, I think a lot of us many times where our relationships sometimes feel closer than family. This is again about that connection with others. And he said, "A trusted friend is the best relative." A trusted friend is the best relative. So first we started with our inner net and then our intranet. Now I'm going to wrap it up with connection with God. So we had connection with self, with others, and now with God. And I'm going to call this your internet, E-N-T-E-R, where we enter into that connection with the divine. And I know for me, one of the ways that this comes up the most is when I don't know what to do next. And so a question that maybe we all share is, "God, what would you have me do in this situation? What would you have me do?" So that's really about listening for guidance, to step into faith, to hear an answer. Now, what many of us are not as good at, maybe you do hear an answer, you get an inkling, well, maybe this is what should happen. But do we really let that answer in? And do we really follow up on it? If you ask a question of God and you hear an answer, sometimes you end up saying, "Well, do you have any other answers?" Maybe you didn't like it, or maybe it sounded too challenging or confronting or difficult. But I think if we're going to ask for guidance, let's be willing to let it come in. Let's be willing to hear and act on it. And that's like asking to be on God's Wi-Fi. Can I be on that connection where I can feel that connection, that information coming to me? And, sometimes we really get it. We really get clear answers. Sometimes it feels like on God's Wi-Fi, maybe we're not getting full bars, like I'm not really feeling it. But somehow we have to know, in spite of whether it feels like it's strong or not so strong, that we are connected. We are still that part of the puzzle that, as that song I was singing, we go together. We are one. In the beginning was God, and now we're still connected on that level to that divine essence. We are. So just keep reaching out, keep staying open, and keep letting go, keep listening, being open. Maybe it's a feeling, maybe it's a voice. I've had the experience of having the voice speak to me very clearly, that inner voice, and it's kind of mind-blowing. I'll tell you one story of how that happened. And this is from quite a few years ago. I was living with a girlfriend in Texas, and we decided we were going to move to California. And we had some connection already with a Unity church there and some other people doing spiritual workshops, and it just felt like the right move for us. And so it was time to go look for a place to rent, and we drove out to California, and we're staying with friends that we'd made. And for 3 days, we were driving around trying to find a place to rent, something that seemed right and worked for us, and the price was right and all of that, and nothing was clicking, nothing. And finally, we were waking up on the morning that we had scheduled to drive back to Texas. And I was in that kind of half awake, half asleep state, and I heard this voice, clear as a bell, and it said this. It said, "Maureen has a listing for you. Maureen has a listing for you." And I woke up, it shocked me awake, and I said, hey, I just heard a voice that says Maureen has a listing for us. And And so it was kind of early. We waited a few hours to call at a reasonable hour and called Maureen. And she said, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, she was a real estate agent, but she sold condos to millionaires and Hollywood stars. She knew nothing about having a rental listing for the two of us. And so I thought, well, okay, thanks anyway. And we drove back to Texas. So we're back home. It's been a couple of weeks, and I'm thinking, you don't hear a voice and then have it be for nothing. I mean, this doesn't make sense. It was so clear. I'm going to call Maureen back, and she says, okay, let's call her. And I get Maureen on the phone, and I say, Maureen, listen, I heard that voice. You have a listing for us. I know it's crazy. I know you didn't, but I just felt like I needed to call one more time to see if you have any more ideas why I would have heard that. And she said, well, funny you should call. I've just decided to move out of my rental condo, and it sounds like it's exactly what you want. And boom, we rented it. So Maureen did have a listing for us. It just took a little time to unfold and be shown. So that enter into God connection net was active, and it was there, and it just required us a little bit of trust and realizing we are on God's Wi-Fi. It's a dance, and we don't always hear the voice clearly, or we don't hear it, or we have to wait a while, but our job is to dance lightly in that connection, to keep listening, to keep knowing there's guidance, there's information, and that there's a bigger universe out there speaking to us on the enter into the connection internet. So I'll start to wrap this up with a couple of quotes. The Buddha said, in the end, there are only three things that matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. So it is a dance of attachment, non-attachment, and just dancing lightly, not getting attached. Okay, you don't have a listing, but later it's revealed you do. So just keep flowing with it, dance with it, stay open. And then finally, Mark Twain, and this was what he has to say about in the end, which in his case is he's looking at the end of his life. And I love this quote. He said, I do not fear death. I had been dead for billions and billions of years before I was born, and I had not suffered the slightest inconvenience from it. Isn't that cute? I've been dead forever, and I never had any inconvenience from it. So just to wrap this up, the internet, that connection with self, that inner, by staying in integrity with your soul's joy, through knowing your center, through meditation, not attaching to the thoughts going by. Remember who you are in that inner net. And then the intranet, being connected with others through the eyes, and the power of just listening, really receiving what another person is saying, really taking that soul in. And then finally, that internet, entering into being available for guidance and hearing that inner voice, dancing lightly with life's challenges. Remembering we are always connected to God. We are always on God's Wi-Fi. And so it is. Thank you very much. And I'll hand it back to Anth.
Thank you, Charlie. That was a wonderful message. Thank you so much. It's time for our offering. We are grateful for the offerings that you share and bring to the Unity of Lehigh Valley. At our website, unityoflehighvalley.org, you can contribute your gift by clicking on the Donate button, which is on the top navigation bar. You may also mail a check directly to ULV, or you may set up a weekly or monthly payment from your bank. Please contact the office if you have any questions on how to donate to ULV. For those of you here in the sanctuary, please leave your offering in the silver bowl in the back of the sanctuary. So our blessing for our gifts. We bless the gifts we hold in our hands by affirming together, the activity of Spirit through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And we'll have our offering song.
Well, in my talk, I referred to taking your power back, living a life that's directed by following your joy, what really serves your soul. And so this song is called Take Your Power Back. Feel free to join in on the chorus if you like. I know you remember there are times in your life when you've walked in a gentle state of grace, and all your problems and all your beliefs were erased by a sweet smile on your face. Take your power back that you've been given, get it back like you had it before. Take your power back that you've been given, get it back, and you'll have even more. You can't keep giving your own power away to anybody or thing that comes along. It's up to you now to do or say what it takes to keep your center strong. Take your power back that you've been given, get it back like you had it before. Take your power back that you've been given, get it back, and you'll have even more. Sing with me. Take your power back that you've been given, get it back like you had it before. Take your power back that you've been given, get it back, and you'll have even more. Even more, even more, even more. There's no use trying to get by it. You can't bypass this place in the road. Your mind will tell you you can live like this, but your heart can't, and it's about to explode. Take your power back that you've been given, get it back like you had it before. Take your power back that you've been given, get it back, and you'll have even more. Take your power back that you've been given, get it back like you had it before. Take your power back that you've been given, get it back, and you'll have even more, have even more, have even more. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you for joining us today. We greatly appreciate you being here. We gratefully accept these generous gifts and bless the gift and the giver without knowing how Spirit uses us to bless this ministry and the world. We affirm together, Spirit has a mighty work for us to do, and all that we could possibly need and desire is available. As good stewards of all that we receive, we gracefully accept the world of lavish abundance pouring forth into our lives and into this ministry. And we do bless and give thanks this morning. We bless and give thanks for the many blessings of tithes, offerings, of time, of talent, and treasure that come to Unity of Lehigh Valley. We are most grateful. And we lift up in prayer our sister Ginny, who's going to be having laser surgery tomorrow morning. So we'd like to hold up Ginny in prayer. And we give thanks and bless each and every request that comes into our community, especially those that come from the heart. hearts and minds together, affirming the love of God. And we bless our world, and we give thanks for our world. And so it is, and we let it be. Amen. Now we're going to ask you to stand where you're at. And if you feel comfortable, you can reach out and connect with those around you as we ask you to join in singing our peace song. Surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. May peace be with you this week. Thank you for joining us. Namaste.